My name is James Cadzel. I started this channel 3 months ago. It's all about building and living in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. I originally moved out to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico in August 1st, 2022, because I wanted to experience a different life and a different life in another country. And I thought it would be a good opportunity. I did a lot of exploring in other countries, and I did research in Panama. I also did research in Colombia, and I also did research in Hawaii. I wanted to live at some beach location somewhere around the world, and obviously I wanted to live in another country. And Cabo just seemed to make the most sense. Seemed to make the best choice possible. And I had already been here 8 times before on vacation. I absolutely love it here every time. I came here on vacation and I sold my house, all my contents, within a matter of weeks, and I sold everything. And, everything but my dog and 2 suitcases. Then we got in the car and headed towards the Baja. And I've loved it ever since. I've been here 3 years as of this month, and it's been an incredible journey. And if anyone's thinking about moving to Cabo, thinking about moving to Mexico, you want to take the leap of faith. Hopefully this video can help you out with taking the leap of faith to Cabo or some other place in Mexico, because I know a lot of things are going crazy in the States and right now, and a lot of Americans are escaping to other countries. I don't blame them. I got out 3 years early. I couldn't imagine the nightmare a lot of people are going through right now with all the raids with ICE, all the constant changes, and everything that's going on in the States, the increase in prices for everything, the tariffs. It's just every day there's something drama going on in the States, and I can understand that people are wanting to move to another country, especially Mexico, since we're next door neighbors, and we've had such a great relationship with the United States over the years. Hi, Daniela. We got our first YouTuber here. Hi, Daniela. How you doing? Where are you calling from? Where you're at? I'd love to hear you. If you guys have any questions about living in Cabo, building in Cabo, cost of living, I'm going to be going over everything. And hopefully I can answer all your questions. And I actually got a list of 40 questions from subscribers earlier this week, because they knew I was doing a live stream. They're interested in actually moving to Cabo, and they wanted me to answer these questions. So let's go with that. Unless you guys have some questions on the live stream, if you don't catch a live stream, you can check the recorded video. And we also have Nicolasa. She's here, and unfortunately, I was late starting the live stream. Sorry about that. If you guys didn't catch it, you can watch it on the video later on. It'll be posted later this afternoon. Okay, let's ask the first question. What's the best thing about Cabo life that money can't buy? Oh, that's easy. The peace. Just going down to the beach every day is just so peaceful. It's just so tranquil here. I love this. Cabo is one of the most peaceful cities I've ever been to. It's probably the most peaceful city I've ever been to. And I love it. It doesn't matter where you're at, whether you're in San Jose, whether you're in downtown Cabo, at the beach. We go to visit La Paz every now and then. We go to Todos Santos, is only about a 40-minute drive. I just love the Baja. It's so peaceful out here. Someone asked, how do you handle the language barriers? And Spanish, is it a must learn to live in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico? You know what? I took Spanish in high school, and it was my worst subject. It was the only subject I did not pass, because I was excellent in anything to do with mathematics, anything to do with science or business. I got straight A's in school, in high school and in college. Not Spanish. I failed it miserably. And it wasn't because of my teacher. Some people just don't have a brain for language. And yes, I get by fine with a little Spanish that I have. I try to learn every day a new word. Daniela, my girlfriend, she teaches me Spanish all the time. My guy that I work with, they try to teach me Spanish all the time too. Carlos, my foreman, who I work with closely every day, he speaks pretty good English, so we get by pretty good. If not, I always use my Google Translator. People here are very patient. All the locals here are very patient, but a large majority of the people that live here in Cabo San Lucas do speak English, because it is a resort town. It is a tourist town. So a majority of the people that you're going to run into in Cabo, all the restaurants, all the hotels, definitely going to speak English. So I get by pretty good, but I use my Google Translator. It's an awesome way to communicate. But 80% of our language is actually body language. So it's very easy to read someone's interpretations, or just by their body language and getting to know them. You can pick up a lot of things just by body language. How do people get wrong? What do people get wrong about the Cabo lifestyle? What do people get wrong about the Cabo lifestyle? What do people get wrong about the Cabo lifestyle? It's not everything is expensive. I mean, not everything costs money to have a Cabo lifestyle. It's about hiking, it's about surfing, it's about hanging out at the beach. Yes, we have some of the most amazing restaurants in Mexico, but Cabo lifestyle is just about relaxing, tranquilo, and just living your day, every day to the fullest, and and enjoying the company of all your friends and family in Cabo. It is truly a special place. What did you wish you had known before moving to Cabo? What do I miss? I didn't really have any expectations before moving to Cabo. I just wanted a more peaceful lifestyle, and that's why I chose Cabo. And it was, as I said, it's probably been the most peaceful city I've ever came to on vacation. And I've traveled to probably over 30 different countries. And so I always love the Mexican culture. I've been to probably 15 cities in Mexico, and Cabo's always been my favorite. And a majority of it had to do with the people here. The people here have a completely different energy than anywhere else in Mexico. And the people in Mexico in general are just very peaceful people. They're very easy to deal with. You go to the grocery store, there's no one ever complaining about, arguing about with the cashier, like you see in the States on a regular basis. You don't see people arguing with employees. It just doesn't happen. You don't see people there's no road rage. I've never seen road rage since I've lived here. I don't even remember a car horn going off the last time I heard a car horn. Someone asked, how do locals and expats mix? I deal with mainly locals. Probably 95% of the people I run into is locals, because I'm in the construction industry. So that's mainly who's going to be doing construction is locals. Just for me, it's easier to get along with locals because they're more peaceful and they're more calm. There's a lot of, Cabo is a huge melting pot. So, there's people from Mexico City, people from Canada, people from Europe, people from South America, from all walks of life. Cabo is a huge melting pot, and that's what I love about it. You have so much diversity in this city, and that's what I truly love about it. It's really special. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please ask me. I'd love to answer any questions that you have about living in Cabo. Where do you guys live at? Please post where you live at. Have you been here on Cabo on vacation? What do you like about Cabo? Someone asked, do you feel safe living in Cabo? I feel extremely safe living in Cabo San Lucas. It's probably the #1 safest city in Mexico. It's easily on the top 5, but I've never felt unsafe anywhere in Mexico. So pretty much 99% of what you've been told from the media is complete lies about Mexico. It's really a safe country. The people are just really humble, kind, sincere. If you're going to find trouble, you can find trouble anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where you live. Any city you're going to find trouble, you can go look for it, you can find it. But Cabo, I never had any problems with anyone. in Mexico in general, but in Cabo, I felt extremely safe. You know, as I said, it's a tourist town. It's probably number one, if not number 2 or 3 tourist town in all of Mexico. I would say Cabo's number 1, Cancun might be number 1 or number 2, interchangeable, and Mexico City is probably number 3. But we get we get 3 to 4 million tourists a year coming to Cabo San Lucas. So why not? The weather is perfect. It's 65 to 85 degrees, 350 days a year. It's always sunny in Cabo. We only get like 4 inches of rain a year. We have the lowest humidity at any beach city location in all of Mexico. And the beaches here, I think, are not only the best in Mexico, but possibly the world. I love the beaches. The beaches are gorgeous. And anytime you go on the Pacific, there is no seaweed. You know, so Cabo has no seaweed whatsoever. If you go on the East Coast, like Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Cancun, you're dealing with seaweed on a regular basis. And it can be a nightmare. No one wants to deal with seaweed. Plus, it's extremely more humid over there. It's 25% more humid over there than it is in Cabo San Lucas. And that's why I came here, and that's why I chose to fall in love with this city, because there's so many bonuses. It's not a cheap city to live in. Mexico is not a cheap country to live in. You know, that's a myth that's been told, you know, for years, that it's really cheap to live in Mexico. Yeah, maybe if you live in California or New York City, it's going to be much cheaper. But my cost of living from Phoenix, Arizona it's almost identical. So my life is just, the cost of living is almost identical to what I was paying in Phoenix, Arizona. And Phoenix is a big city. There's over 5 million people in Phoenix, Arizona. And I really love that city. It had everything I needed in my life except the beach. And I wanted to live at the ocean. And the ocean provides you so much peace and harmony. And that's why Cabo is one of the most peaceful cities I've ever been to, is because of the ocean. We live in one of the most beautiful cities in all of Mexico. Let's see. What is the cost of living really like in Cabo San Lucas? And did it catch you off guard? Well, anytime you're going to be purchasing electronics or appliances, anything that has to be imported from the United States, it's going to be probably 25 to 40% more than the United States. So if it's let's say it's a flat screen TV, and it's $1,000 in the States, it's going to be $1,300 or $1,400 here. And just because you have to import it, anything is going to be 25 to probably 40% more for electronics. Furniture is very expensive here. Everything, they treat Cabo like they say it's on an island. It's really not. It's on a peninsula. That's another lie. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, we're on an island." No, we're not. We're connected to central Mexico. We're just on a peninsula. You just have to do a big U-turn. So, and someone asked me, what was the first thing that surprised you about your daily life in Cabo? The first thing that surprised me about my daily life in Cabo, just the challenges of getting simple stuff done. And although it's such an awesome city, I really love it. The challenges of, paying your water bill or paying your electricity bill, it's not the same. I'm used to having everything on auto bill, and I don't, I see my bill in the mail, and I know I can throw it away because it's getting charged to my credit card. The only thing I have on auto bill is our internet. Our internet is Telmex. Yeah, it's Telmex, and they're pretty reasonable. I think it's like it's 700 pesos, which is about $38, $39, and it includes 350 gigabytes. And we have no problems with the internet, but it's pretty reasonable. And then we also get Netflix too included in that. And so it's pretty reasonable. It's $35. I remember when I was in the States, I think I was paying like $85 for the internet, and that it didn't include internet that didn't include Netflix. But the first thing that surprised me about daily life in college is challenging to get stuff done, simple stuff. It takes a little bit longer to get stuff done here. Not everything is as convenient as what I'm used to, but that's okay. You know, you find new ways to go to get stuff done, which is fine. But it took me a while. You know, it took a level of maturity to live here, because 15 years ago, 15 years ago, I don't think I could live here. I think I would be complaining, you know, bitching and moaning every day about, you know, simple stuff. But, you know, and the main gripes most people have moving here from the States or Canada or Europe is the roads and the infrastructure, the roads, the water, and the roads and water are the biggest thing. And how do property taxes compare, and utilities? Oh, great question, Salvador. Property taxes are very inexpensive in Cabo San Lucas and in Mexico in general. You know, if you own $1 million home in Cabo, your property taxes are less than $650 a year, which is amazing. I remember my home I sold in Phoenix, Arizona. It was around $950,000 when I moved, and my property taxes were around $4,200 a year. And my property taxes on the same type of home in Cabo San Lucas are $650 a year. So that's a huge saving. And the advantage in paying a lot of your bills here in Mexico, especially, you know, your property taxes, if you pay them early, let's say you pay them in January, you get a 20% discount for paying your property taxes early. That's awesome. You don't get that in the States or other countries at all. So you get 20% discount if you pay your property taxes on early, which is a huge bonus. I think it's 20% in January, 15% in February, 10% in March, and I believe that's it. But and utilities, my electricity, that was the only thing that shocked me a little bit. But it's our electricity, the expensive electricity is a little bit more expensive in Phoenix. Are a little bit more expensive in Cabo San Lucas than Phoenix. That's actually, Cabo San Lucas has 35% higher electricity than anywhere else in Mexico. Because from what I understand, they get the electricity from La Paz, from the state capital. And they have to take the electricity from La Paz all the way to Cabo San Lucas. And so it is 35% higher than anywhere in Mexico. Anywhere in Mexico, when you're living in other areas, the electricity is going to be much higher. But my electricity is probably about 20% higher than it is in Phoenix. My last bill was 16,500 pesos, which I just got a couple of days ago, which computes to about $870. And that's for 2 months. So it's about $430 a month. But we're in the extreme summer right now. It's August 17th. So that was my bill from June 15th to August 15th. So that's 2 months. $870. So it's, you know, $435 a month, $430 a month for 2 months, which is not bad. I've learned can run my pool timer only 4 hours a day versus I'm used to running it 8 hours a day. We have mini splits, and I would say we're fairly conservative. That we run usually 1 or 2 mini splits only at a time. We're not running the entire household with air conditioning all day, which is abnormal to me. I'm used to Phoenix. I used to turn the air conditioner at 72 degrees and run it for 10 months a year, you know, and never have to worry about it. Here, you have to be really cautious because CFE is controlled by the government, and I consider them the cartel of Mexico. You know, they're crazy because their prices, I think, are unrealistic. The government shouldn't be controlling electricity or water or any utilities in any country. I think they should be all owned by private companies competing for business for consumers. But that's just my personal opinion. You might think differently, which is fine. How different is Cabo compared to what you imagined before moving? Really, I had zero expectations before moving. I take every day as it is. And I just love it, and every day is something new, and, and every day is not the same, and it just takes a while to get adjusted when you're moving to another country, whether you're moving to Cabo San Lucas, whether you're moving to Mexico City, where you're moving to Europe or South America. You know, when you make changes, and you're going to have to deal with what's ahead of you, and just tackle it head on. What's the first thing that surprised you about daily life in Cabo? The first thing that surprised me about daily life in Cabo, just how many people are willing to help you out. And it is truly amazing how the people that live here in Cabo are so willing to help out a complete stranger they don't even know. It's very, very normal that you go up to people walking in the streets, you say hi to them, and you say good morning. You greet everyone usually with a good morning. How are you doing? And it's very nice, and it's a nice change of pace, because that's not something I would be used to in the States whatsoever. And someone asked, what's the hardest part about finding or buying property in Cabo San Lucas? The hardest part about buying or finding property in Cabo San Lucas, really the pocket area that you want to live in. You know, because it took me a couple of months before I found exactly what I wanted. But you know, when I first moved here, it took me, I guess, like 2 months before a couple of months before I found a piece of parcel of land. I knew I wanted to live on the Pacific side, because the Pacific side is much cooler than it is in Cabo San Lucas, and I'm only 15 minutes away from the Pacific side, and I knew it was less humid over there, and you got the constant breezes all day, and I definitely knew I wanted to live on the Pacific side for sure. And just finding the pocket of area, whether you want to live in San Jose, whether you want to live in Cabo San Lucas, whether you want to live in downtown Cabo, whether you want to live in El Tazal, whether you want to live in, you know, in Todos Santos, whether you want to live in La Paz, you know, just finding that certain section, whether you want to live in Palmilla. You know, there's so many different areas, so many different pockets of spaces to live in, and just finding out which one. I would highly recommend that you come live here and rent a place for maybe 6 months to a year to find out the area or section of town you really love, that you can really gel with. Because when I first came here, I lived in San Jose, and you know, I lived in San Jose for 4 months. I stayed at the Hilton for 4 months because I didn't know where I was going to stay, and I had all these Hilton Hunters points, and I stayed at, they were nice enough to let my dog in. They had a Doberman, and I was shocked because Mexico is a very dog-friendly town, you know, or city or country, and you would not see that in the States, especially a Doberman. Most people are so intimidated by a Doberman, and you know, they welcomed my dog. Every guest in the hotel knew Marley, and they greeted him every day. It was crazy. He was like a celebrity, you know. But nevertheless, I lived in San Jose when I first wanted. I was looking for property in San Jose. I couldn't find anything that was on the beach, and I was even willing to live in a condo. And you know, I couldn't find anything that was beachfront. So I ended up finding a parcel of land on the Pacific side, which I loved, and I'm so glad I found a parcel of land in Rolling Hills Estates, and I also was looking for a property to remodel because I couldn't build my home in Rolling Hills right at the bat. It took 2 years to run the electrical and to finish the roads. So I needed a project, so I decided to find an investment property to work on. So the first 12 months I was living here, I was remodeling it, tearing it down and rebuilding it. We're doing a video right now about the remodel, and that's going to be the next one released. So check it out. It will be available in a couple of days, and it should be a really great video. Let's see. So let me ask the next question. Is remodeling or building in Cabo more challenging than the US or Canada? Definitely remodeling is far more challenging in Mexico than it is in the United States. That's what I used to do. I built and remodeled over 700 homes in my life, and remodeling homes here is probably 20 times more challenging than it is in the States, because you're dealing with pure concrete. You're not dealing with lumber and framing and drywall. You're dealing with straight concrete. So that means you're going to have to use a jackhammer. You're going to have to, demo takes 10 times longer, maybe 20 times longer. And you're just using different material. The plumbing is different than it is in the States. They don't use ABS plumbing here. Everything's either CPVC or PVC. They don't use copper here because the humidity, it's not good for the humidity. It breaks easily. And just learning the different construction types. But I would say remodeling is probably much harder. It's much easier to build. It's much easier to just come here and just buy what you love and make little minor changes. That's what probably 90% of people do. That's what I would recommend doing. It takes an extremist to remodel, and I'm an extremist person. Even though I'm a pretty conservative guy, I do pretty things that are extreme. No one really sells their house and moves to Mexico within a couple of weeks. That's pretty crazy. You know, even though I had been planning it for years, but that's just what's happened. And I would suggest, probably buying a house that you love in Cabo San Lucas or San Jose, and doing some minor changes if you wanted to do it. And if you want to build a house, I can help you out with construction. I can help you out with remodeling, and I can also help you out with new builds if you want. I'm also a realtor as well. My girlfriend Daniela is also a realtor, and she can also help you out with rentals. If you need to rent a place, if you're thinking about moving to Cabo San Lucas, Daniela, just send her a message on my WhatsApp channel, or send me a message, or text me, or call me, and I can put you in touch with her, and she can help you out with rental properties. How do you protect yourself legally when buying real estate? Well, when you're purchasing a real estate and you're a foreigner, this only applies to foreigners. There's a restricted area that you're not allowed to buy within 50 kilometers of the beach, or of the beach, because it's protected only for nationals. But if you get a fideicomiso, which is a trust, and it's a 50-year trust, so you completely own the property. No one can do anything. No one can sell it. No one can take it away from you. So it's a trust. It's a bank trust. You have an agreement with a bank, and they hold the title to the property, and it protects you if anything happens to the property. So after those 50 years are up, you can gift it to your children, gift it to your spouse, gift it to another loved one, after you're gone. And so that protects you. It's pretty much the same as the States. The process takes a little bit longer. For a normal closing, takes about 45 days here in Cabo San Lucas and in Mexico. But it's pretty much the same. The process is pretty much the same. Have you ever regretted buying or remodeling in Cabo San Lucas? No, even though the remodel took much longer than I originally projected. I did the remodel. It took me about 12 months to do it. My original projection was going to be about 9 months, but I had never done this much concrete. We ended up pretty much demolishing the entire house and tearing the whole roof down. We tore pretty much half the exterior walls down. I think we had like probably 45 huge truckloads of concrete. Probably about 30 full-size dumpsters we got rid of concrete, so that you can imagine all the garbage we were hauling away. No, I don't regret it whatsoever. I don't regret it. But no, it was a good experience. It was a very valuable experience. It taught me, it's probably better to build in Cabo San Lucas, but I really love them remodels. But I'm strange. I'm not like most people, so don't measure me up. So let's see. How easy or hard it is to sell property here. if you change your mind. How hard or easy it to sell property here to change your mind? Cabo is a very slow market compared to what I'm used to in the States. Normally in Phoenix, properties sell within the first 30 days. And Cabo, the average time on the market is about 300 days here. And it's a very slow market right now because our economies, it's dependent on the United States because there's so many Americans living here. I'd hate to say a number, but I would be guesstimating maybe 20% of the residents that live in Cabo San Lucas are Americans, maybe 15% are Canadians and Americans. 15 to 20%, I would say, is a good estimate. I mean, don't hold me to that, but Cabo's they got a good stable market of homes. So if you're looking to buy a home in Cabo, this is like a perfect opportunity. I know a lot of people, I've had a lot of clients contact me over the last month or two and since the election, and because they want to move, they want to get out of the States. They're sick of dealing with all the politics, they're sick of dealing with all the tariffs, and they want to move to another country. They love Cabo, they've been here on vacation. Who would not want to move here? The temperature is awesome. We have average temperature of 65 to 85 degrees, 350 days a year. You know, we've got amazing weather. What is one nightmare story about construction or repairs? One nightmare story about construction or repair. Well, just dealing with the city permits, that's one of the nightmares. I remember just we got the new purchase for the home that we're building in the Pacific side. It took probably 13 months to get the permit. That is ridiculous. I've never had a permit take that long. The most I've ever had a new build permit probably was like 3 weeks. But Phoenix is pretty liberal, and they got a lot of staff over there. But it took 13 months. Yeah, 13 or 14 months. It's ridiculous. Luckily, my architect that I was working with, that's one thing that you're going to have to hire if you end up doing a massive remodel or doing a new build. You're going to have to hire an architect out here because it's regulated. You have to use an architect out here to draft all the plans. And I know in remodels, we would never use an architect in Phoenix. We didn't need to. You could draw it up on a napkin if you had to. But here, you definitely have to hire an architect. Luckily, he got us the connection so we could start the build process even before the permit got approved, because he had been working with the city for over 30 years, so he had a pretty good relationship. But the city process here is very slow, and I'm sure they're underemployed, and they're just really backed up because Cabo San Lucas, like 60% of the homes here are new construction, so it's very busy. There's a lot of construction going on because everyone wants to move here. The weather's perfect. Who would not want to live in 65 to 85 degrees 12 months a year? It's like perfect weather. So there's a lot of business going on in Cabo San Lucas, a lot of new construction. So the city's backed up. So just expect delays. What are the hidden costs when owning a home in Cabo San Lucas? Hidden costs when owning a home in I don't know if there's any hidden costs. Maybe just building a cistern. A lot of people aren't used to having a cistern. What a cistern is it's a concrete box made out of block wall and concrete, usually in the front yard or the driveway or the backyard. Mine's in my backyard. Mine holds 20,000 liters. We built it by hand, and which is 5,200 gallons. And the city fills it up usually once a month, every 30 days. And if we run out of that water, which we do, we ended up having to buy a private truck, which brings us, they usually bring us 16,000 liters. That doesn't fill up the entire tank. But that's the largest truck that I've seen in Cabo. And that usually costs about 2,000 pesos, which is about $110, $120 right now. Because of the exchange rate, the US dollar is getting weaker by the day. Since the past 9 months, the US dollar has gotten weaker, so you're getting less dollars for your pesos. But we usually have to get 2 water trucks during the month, and the water trucks are about $100, $110 a month. per truck. So we usually get 2 trucks. So that's, $220, $220 to $240 a month for water. And then the city water bill is usually, it's not expensive. It's usually about $10 to $15 a month. But I assume we're having water problems right now in Cabo San Lucas. That's one of the main issues in Cabo is the water problem. So they, one of the underground wells in Marguinho, which services a lot of the water in Cabo San Lucas, is down right now. And so everything is backed up with water right now. So we should have gotten water last week and we still haven't gotten it. So I assume they're only backed up. So if not, we're gonna have to buy another water truck. So let's see. How easy or harder? Okay. What is let's see? Is it cheaper to rent long term instead of buying? I don't advise renting long term. I do advise renting long term if you're just coming here for the first time or you don't know where you're living. The rental market is pretty it's pretty expensive to rent. Rent usually starts about $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom. Maybe you could possibly get a 2-bedroom apartment or condo. Probably about $1,500 a month, and but you can get a brand new condo for $300,000 in a really nice neighborhood in Cabo San Lucas. Condos started at $300,000. There's a lot of inventory for condos at that price. If you want a single-family home, it can start anywhere from $400 up to $600 for a really nice single-family home. But the average price point for a house here in Cabo San Lucas is $1 million. But we have properties that are $50 million in Cabo. So there's some really nice real estate here. But you can get a nice condo for $300,000, or a really nice one for $300,000 to $350,000. There's a lot of stuff that's available. A lot of builders right now, they're wanting your business, so they're going to make deals with you. There's a lot of companies that are offering financing because in Mexico, this is a cash market right here in Cabo San Lucas. So 99.9% of real estate transaction is cash, but a lot of builders they're offering financing. So through them directly, it's pretty favorable for the client. Let's see. What's your favorite local food and what can you not live without? My favorite local food, obviously, that would be tacos. I love tacos. I can eat tacos 7 days a week and never get sick of it. I could also say that about Chinese food, but I love tacos. There's tons of good taco restaurants in Cabo San Lucas, and what can I not live without? I pretty much have everything I need. I'm very fortunate. I get Diet Dr. Pepper at the store. That's my favorite drink, and that's probably the one they carry because I used to like Diet Coke, and the Diet Coke here that does not taste the same. It's completely different from the one in the States. But the Diet Dr. Pepper, it tastes exactly what the one in the States I get. But how welcoming are the locals to foreigners? I've never felt unwelcomed at all. I feel very loved by the locals. Every day the interaction that people in the grocery store, from all the people that I go downtown, everyone is so friendly. Everyone's in a happy mood in Cabo. You never meet any angry people. So, nevertheless, let's see. What's the biggest culture shock when living full time in Mexico? What is the biggest culture shock when living full time in Mexico? Biggest culture shock when living full time in Mexico. Just getting stuff done. It just takes a little bit longer to get stuff done than what I'm used to. It's just adjusting to it. So let's see. KB Prime. Hey James, how do you shop for groceries? Local markets versus big stores? Usually, my shopping, I usually probably get 80% of my stuff at Costco. That's the same as if I was living in the States. 80% of my stuff, because they have the best I think they have the best produce, the best meats, the best selection, and they have really good prices. I get 80% of my stuff there. I get 20% of usually at Soriano or Fresco, and there's a nice farmers market down the street, but they're only open Tuesday. I would love to go there 7 days a week, but they're only open on Tuesday, and we buy red cabbage from them all the time because we love using it for our tacos, for our shrimp tacos. And I'd say if there were more markets, farmers markets out here, maybe I just don't know where they're at, or I haven't found them yet, but I love going to the farmers markets. But I would say probably 80% of the stuff I get from Costco. And it's just the freshness and stuff from there. Was Cabo San Lucas your first choice when moving to Mexico? Cabo was not my first choice. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, I looked into Colombia and I looked into Panama and I looked into a couple other countries. And the reason why I chose Cabo San Lucas, the simplicity, I didn't want to deal with government interfering in my life whatsoever. And that was like a huge issue. On top of low humidity, a beach location with low humidity, cost of living was not really a factor at that time, and but no government interference in my life. This was when I was doing research. This is right a little bit before, right around COVID. So like, I didn't want to be interfered. I didn't want to be told about masks. I didn't want to be told where I could stand, where I could go. I don't like, and I don't think anyone likes being controlled in their life whatsoever. Me, I absolutely hate it, and that's something I want to deal with. So no, Cabo wasn't my first choice. I had to get to it. I had to eliminate a lot of the other stuff. You know, and as I said, I came out here 8 times on vacation, so I've always loved it. I guess I wanted to try something new, and that's why it wasn't my first choice. That's why I was thinking about Panama and thinking about Colombia, because I'd never been there before. And Danielle and I just went to Colombia last summer, and that was an amazing vacation. But I'm so grateful that I didn't move there. You know, that I moved to Cabo San Lucas. It was a blessing, truly a blessing. Let's get to the next question. How different is the Mexican bureaucracy compared to the back home? Just getting stuff done, I think it's far more challenging getting stuff done with government paperwork here than it is in the States. But there's red tape anytime you're going to be dealing with government. But I will say, dealing with the healthcare system is 1,000 times better in Mexico. We frequently go to the hospital, if one of us is sick, which is, that's not something you would do in the States. I would make an appointment to see my family doctor, and that might not be this week. It might not be for a couple of days. And I certainly would have to pay probably $170 for a family visit to the doctor. And I remember like going to the doctor here, it's like just to go to the hospital, it's only 250 to 300 pesos, which is like $15 or $17. And then the medications, maybe 500 pesos, which is another $25 or $30. So it's very inexpensive. Luckily, I don't have any health problems. Daniela doesn't have any health problems. We work out 5-6 days a week. We eat very clean, so we don't have any issues, and we'd like to keep it that way. But the healthcare system, I think is amazing here in Mexico. It's very inexpensive to go to the hospital, very inexpensive to go to a local doctor. Someone asked, what's one basic necessity that's surprisingly more expensive in Cabo? As I was saying, Nicholas, electronics are usually 25 to 40% more here. Electronics and appliances, anything having to do with electrical. All my tile is more expensive. Any construction material is that I bring in from the States is 30 or 40% more. So concrete is like 2 or 3 times more than a bag of concrete in Phoenix when I left was $5.50, and now it's $22. I don't know what it is now, but it's $22 for a bag of concrete here in Cabo San Lucas. And everything we build is in concrete. very little stuff is built in wood unless it's inside because of the humidity. And not a lot of stuff is, well, not only the humidity, but the ocean, because it rots. And so you want to build a lot of stuff in concrete. Concrete's strong, it's very durable, it's meant to last. But let's see. What holidays or traditions in Cabo is a must experience? Mexican Independence Day, I believe it's in September, I believe. Please correct me if anyone is, if knows. I think it's pretty a tradition. Everything is celebrated in Mexico. New Year's Eve is a huge big party. Everything's a party in Mexico. They celebrate everything in Mexico, and I love it. We always got fireworks going on. There's always everyone's having a birthday party. Everything's celebrated in Mexico, and a lot of stuff is not celebrated in the States like it is in Mexico. Everything is big. Everything is a party here. There's usually always fireworks going off every week. And it's much louder than the States, and I have no problem with that. So if that's something you're going to have to deal with if you live here, and you're going to have to adjust to it, and just get ready for it, because Mexico has a lot of fireworks. Let's see. What's one cultural mistake most expats make? Assuming everyone speaks English is a huge cultural mistake. Not everyone speaks English. We're in Mexico. We're in another country. You're a guest. Try to learn the language as much as possible, and try to use your Google Translator. Have empathy and compassion. Not everyone's going to know English, so don't expect people to know English. You're a visitor in their country, so treat everyone with dignity and respect, and they'll do the same to you. And let's see, how do you feel about the local community, or always as a visitor? I think I answered that one. What's the biggest difference between tourist Cabo and real Cabo? Tourist Cabo costs probably 10 times more than real Cabo, but coming here on vacation and coming here to live here are two different experiences. I remember I used to always stay at the Hilton in Cabo San Lucas, and it's an amazing resort. If you ever get a chance, you must stay there. They have a wonderful food there. It's an amazing restaurant. They got beautiful beaches over by the Hilton. All the restaurants are awesome. The staff is awesome. The rooms are amazing. The pools are amazing. The workout equipment is amazing. I love that. I love that resort. And I never had to leave there. I went to, I think, downtown a couple of times in 8 trips that I came here, but you didn't have to leave the resort. So you don't really see all of Cabo. You don't really get to experience it, living here. And just coming here as a tourist, is just a completely different experience. Living here, it takes some adjustments too. Not everything is hunky-dory. Not everything is paradise. There's some challenges, but I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love the people here. I love the weather. I love the beaches. And Cabo is truly a special place. Someone in attendance, KB Prime, are hurricanes and storms something to worry about in Cabo San Lucas? Yeah, it is something to be concerned about. The last major storm we had here, it was I forgot the name of it. Someone help me out. I can't think of it, but it was about 10 years ago, and it was a Cat 5, and it devastated Cabo. I think it got up to I want to say it was 120 winds, but yeah, it's something to be concerned about. That's why we build everything in Cabo. Hurricane Odile. Thank you very much, Salvador. It was Hurricane Odile, and it was I believe it was 10, 12 years ago. Danielle has told me some pretty nightmare stories like Costco got hoarded by a lot of people and stuff. People were going crazy, and it's something to be concerned about. Yeah, a lot of people. That's why we build concrete homes, and it's something you need to prepare for. And I think everyone wanted to help each other out. It was 2014 when Cabo. Thanks, Salvador. 2014 when it was and when Hurricane Odile. Yeah, it's something to be concerned about, but you know what? And I built my new home, and this home is durable. It's tough. I put dual pane hurricane glass windows on my house. You know, my house is available for sale if you guys want to check it out. It's on Villa Utopia on a playlist, and it's available for sale if anyone's looking for a brand new construction home. It's 4,500 square feet. It's got 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, 4.5 baths, and it's got a downstairs unit completely separate from the main living house. But it's a gorgeous house. I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this house. It's truly unique. You're not going to find one like this. It's an American style architecture, and it's gorgeous. It's got a 50-foot lap pool in the backyard. It's totally private, totally peaceful and serene, and it's got a beautiful ocean view of Cabo San Lucas. Let me see. Let me ask the next question. Let's see. What's the biggest challenge that no one prepares you for of living in Mexico? The biggest challenge that no one prepares you for? I think I had my power shut off. That was the biggest the craziest nightmare I had. Was like the first summer I came, or the second summer I came here, when I moved here, is the power got shut off because I didn't pay my electricity bill. I had the money, but they don't send bills out like they do in the States or other country. You have to get on the app. They used to deliver bills here when I first got here, and they didn't happen to deliver a bill. So I didn't think too much about it. And my power got shut off in the middle of summer, and we were demoing. And I was like, what the hell? You know, and so I quickly ran down to CFE to go pay the bill. And they said, oh, we'll turn your power on in 2 days. And I'm like, what? I'm like dying over here. Just get on your computer and turn it on. Well, that's not how it works here. They actually had to manually send someone to come over to turn our meter on. And I could not believe it. So it was pretty shocking, and it was pretty bad. So I had never experienced. I'm so used to the power company just turning on automatically, or maybe sending someone over within an hour. But it's just, you know, that's one thing about Mexico. I love Mexico, but you know, customer service is not really their strong suit. But other than that, I love the country. Let's see. How do you do with the extreme weather, the heat, and everyday life? Dealing with the humidity was probably challenging a little bit for me because I came from Phoenix, Arizona. We're used to 10 to 20% humidity all year round. Cabo, the humidity ranges anywhere from 45 to 65. The worst day I've ever seen was 92 degrees with 70%, 75% humidity. You know, you just try to stay indoors. I go hiking 5 days a week, so it really doesn't bother me. I love spending time outside. How I'm dealing with it is we're building a new house on the Pacific side because we get the constant coastal breezes every day. And you don't really feel the humidity at all. You know, one of my neighbors said they only use the air conditioner on the Pacific side 2 months a year, which seems insane to me. I mean, I guess we'll experience that when we live there. But it seems pretty unheard of to use only the air conditioner 2 days a year. But the Pacific breeze, I'm out there every day building, and it's very peaceful out there. You know, it's August, and just now we started to feel the heat when we were building, and it's really not that bad. Let's see. Do you ever get fever island or stuck in a tourist economy? No, I never feel like I'm a fever island at all. You know, I've had to go back to the States probably 3 or 4 times to do once to get my immigration paperwork done, to get my permanent residency, and I went down there to go get my new vehicle, my Nissan Armada, and I went there one time to go with Daniela to go get our pool equipment. No, I actually missed Cabo the day we got in the car. The minute we left Cabo San Lucas, I started missing it already, which was crazy. I've never felt like that, you know. And going back home, I would think I'd be surprised to go back to Phoenix. And, I was excited to show her Phoenix and around, but I actually missed Cabo, and the 3 times I missed it, just getting in the car. And the drive is beautiful. If you've ever done it, that is a must do, is driving down the Bob. And one thing I would highly recommend, make sure you fill up at every gas station, because they do not put a gas station every 100 miles or every 50 miles. Every gas station there's some stretches that they're 250 miles apart. So if you do not fill up, you could be stuck in the middle of the desert without gas. So they do not plan for gas stations every 10 miles like they do in the States. So let's see. What is it like dealing with government paperwork as a foreigner? It can be very challenging. I dealing with government paperwork, and if you don't have a lot of patience, you don't speak Spanish fluently, I suggest you hire someone. There's so many people you can hire to help you out. I remember getting my residency, I hired this girl, Anna. She is awesome. I will highly recommend you use her. If you come to Cabo, you want to get your permanent residency or temporary residency, you can get in contact with her. She's awesome. She's worked in immigration for over 20 years. She's helped me get my permanent resident status, and it was less than $500. She had her excellent communication skills. She was really awesome in staying on board. But I would suggest, if you don't speak language, you don't want to do, who wants to deal with government paperwork? Not a lot of people like doing that stuff. I would suggest hiring somebody. Let's see, what sacrifices had you made to live here? Conveniences of everyday life, sacrifices, maybe just Amazon. I'm used to getting Amazon delivered within 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 24 hours. Here it takes Amazon, usually, like if I order from Amazon Mexico, it might take 7 days, 8 days, maybe 10 days. If I'm dealing it from the United States, usually 10 days to 2 weeks. Mercado Libre is their Amazon's solution to it's Mexico's solution to Amazon. Mercado Libre, they have some good stuff, and that usually takes anywhere from 2 to 4 days, depending on what you're ordering. You're just having to deal with, when I don't have everything in all the time, and sometimes you just that's only going to increase your patience. What is the hardest season in Cabo, Nicholas asked me? I would say summer is the hardest season. Right now, August and September is the hardest time. And I've adapted to it quite well. I'm one person that hates humidity probably more than anyone you will ever meet. And I don't really think Cabo has a high humidity. I think it's 65 today. But, just dealing with the humidity, not the heat, because I don't think it's hot here. It's the humidity that's really the issue for me. But no, I've adapted to it pretty good. So if I can adapt to it, I definitely think you can adapt to it. I think the weather is awesome. 10 months of perfect weather and 2 months of challenging weather, I could deal with that. Because Phoenix, I love Phoenix, and it had 9 months of beautiful weather. But as I was leaving after COVID, I don't know if you guys experienced it. Let me know if you guys experienced it, where you lived at since COVID. Has it changed your overall climate, where you lived at year round? Because I know in Phoenix, after they shut down all the factories during COVID, it prolonged our winter and it prolonged our summer, and it shortened the spring and fall, which were my 2 favorite seasons in Phoenix, Arizona. So let me know if it changed the weather in your. Where are you guys from? Please tell me what city you're from. Or if you're from Cabo, how long have you lived here for? If you're thinking about moving here, what makes you want to live in Cabo? How do you deal with being with family from back home? Well, both my parents passed within the past 3 years, so it's been challenging to live without my parents. My mom was my best friend. My dad was also very close to me. I was very close to my father. My sister is living in Phoenix right now. I miss her dearly. I wish she would come out here and visit. I don't know. She hasn't got her passport yet. I don't know what she's waiting for. Hopefully, if she's listening to this video, get your passport, Pat. I miss you. I'd love to see you out here. but it can be challenging not being back home with my nieces and stuff. And what happens when the dream doesn't work out? What happens when your Cabo dream doesn't work out? I don't know. I guess I would just move to another country, move to another city if it didn't work out. I definitely probably wouldn't go back to the States. I mean, I love the States. I have no problems. I definitely don't want to go back there now. And, you know, with Trump in office, it's been a nightmare for a lot of people. And there's a lot of negative changes going on. I think I would go to somewhere in Asia, you know, try the Philippines out. I've heard that's beautiful. I also wanted to try out, I love Greece. I love Italy. I want to go there. Let's see. There's a lot of countries I want to visit. Let's see. At the end of the day, is living in Cabo definitely worth it? Oh, of course. I would recommend Cabo San Lucas for anyone. You know, the only thing about Cabo is it's an expensive city to live in. It's very expensive to live in. It's probably one of the most expensive cities next to Mexico City, but it's a very expensive city to live in for the rest of Mexico. But it is truly an amazing city. I love it very much. I wouldn't change one day for a minute. You know, it is awesome. It is really awesome to live in Cabo San Lucas. To wake up every day to the Pacific Ocean, and it's just awesome. I don't regret it at all. What's the hardest season in Cabo? Oh yeah, I answered that question. You guys have any other questions? But I really enjoyed your guys' time. I really thank you so much. Thank you everyone for sending in these questions. That was awesome. I really appreciate it. I'd like to do a live stream either probably once or twice a month. And it's really to be able to connect with the subscribers. Anyone thinking about moving to Cabo, building in Cabo, wanting to look at purchasing real estate in Cabo San Lucas, it is truly a special town. If you've never been here on vacation, you need to make some time and schedule it. Our season's coming up, starting in October. November is the start of our season, and the weather is just beautiful there. You know, the weather, I love the weather all year round. You can get used to the humidity. So it is an awesome city. I really love it. And thank you so much. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share it with a friend if you could. Anything you can do to help me grow this channel. We've been growing it every day, and I really want to expand it because we're going to be doing a lot of construction projects, not only one that we're building in Rolling Hills Estates on the Pacific side, but we're doing construction there on in the future. And we've got a lot of things going, a lot of great content coming your way. We'd love to help you out any way that we can. Thanks so much. You guys have an awesome day. You take care.